Industry experts are speculating that Chipotle could be planning to add breakfast options. Of course, Chipotle already has a breakfast option. It's the half a burrito you woke up next to. Seth Meyers. A school in Tennessee is facing criticism for separating students with bad grades from students with good grades at lunch. That's crazy. You don't use grades to separate kids. Everyone knows that kids should be separated by clothes, looks, and how much money their parents make. Jimmy Fallon. Psychologists now believe that adulthood begins at 25, not 18. They also believe that middle age begins the first time you eat at a Denny's while sober. Conan O'Brien. I am not the easiest guy in the world to get along with. So when our anniversary rolled around, I wanted my wife to know how much I appreciated her tolerating me for the past 20 years. I ordered the flowers and told the florist to enclose a card that read, "Thanks for putting up with me so long." When my wife got the delivery, she called me at work. "Just where do you think you are going?" she asked. "What do you mean?" I said. I read the card along aloud as the florist had written it. "Thanks for putting up with me so long." Uh Florist. She called me at work. She called me at work. Guaranteed to roll your eyes. I came home one night and my wife was crying. I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "I am homesick." I said, "But this is your home." "I know," she replied, "and I am sick of it." Adulthood, middle age begins. Dennis, Dennis while sober. Dennis while sober. Much money parents make. That's a good joke. Now I'll skip this. Researchers have much of Florida could be underwater by the end of the century. On the bright side, they say it could happen much sooner. Conan, Conan O'Brien. It's the first day of spring, so congratulations to the people of Nebraska who survived winter. Now all you've got to do is get through severe thunderstorm and tornado season. James Corden. The U.S. Surgeon General released a statement this week that said more Americans should start going on walks. Then, to everyone's surprise, he added, if you are just going out to have a smoke, just stand up for Paraprosdokians. Winston Churchill loved them, are figures of speech in which the latter part of a sentence or phrase is surprising and unexpected, frequently humorous. Figure of speech as a matter of figure of speech. 1. Where there's will, I want to be in it. Paraprosdokians, Winston Churchill loved them, are figures of speech in which the latter part of sentence or phrase is surprising and or unexpected, frequently humorous. Figure of speech. Figures of speech. Where there's will, I want to be in it. The last thing I want to do is hurt you, but it's still on my list. 3. Since light travels faster than sound, some people appear bright until you hear them speak. If I agreed with you, you'd both be wrong. We never really grow up. We only learn how to act in public. War does not determine who is right, only who is left. Knowledge is knowing a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad. To steal ideas from one person is plagiarism. To steal from many is research. I didn't say it was your fault. I said I was blaming you. In filling out an application where it says, in case of emergency, notify, I put doctor. Women will never be equal to men until they can walk down the street with a bald head and a beer gut and still think they are sexy. A beer gut, a beer gut, a beer gut, a beer gut, a beer gut. You do not need a parachute to skydive. You only need a parachute to skydive twice. I used to be indecisive. Now I am not so sure. To be sure of hitting the target, shoot first and call whatever you hit the target. Going to church doesn't make you a Christian any more than standing in a garage makes you a car. You've never too old to learn something stupid. I'm supposed to respect my elders, but it's getting harder and harder for me to find one now. Guaranteed to roll your eyes. At the company water cooler, I bragged about my children's world travels. One son was teaching in Bolivia, another was working in southern Italy, and my daughter was completing a year-long research project in India. One coworker's quip, however, stopped me short. What is it about you, he asked, that makes your kids want to get so far away from you? At the company water cooler, I bragged about my children's world travels. One son was teaching in Bolivia, another was working in southern Italy, and my daughter was completing a year-long research project in India. Company water cooler, water cooler. One coworker's quip, however, stopped me short. What is it about you, he asked, that makes your kids want to get so far away from you? Quip, figure of speech. Figure of speech. Paraprosdokians. Some scientists now believe that Jesus Christ had a wife. They also believe that Jesus' nephew called Jesus' wife the Antichrist. Antichrist. 3 blondes died and are at the pearly gates of heaven. St. Peter tells them that they can enter the gates if they can answer one simple question. St. Peter asks the first blonde, "What is Easter?" The blonde replies, "Oh, that's easy. It's the holiday in November when everyone gets together, eats turkey, and are thankful and stuff." "Wrong," replies St. Peter, and proceeds to ask the second blonde the same question. "What is Easter?" The second blonde replies, "Easter is the holiday in December when we put up a nice tree, exchange presents, and drink eggnog." St. Peter looks at the second blonde, shakes his head in disgust, tells her she's wrong, and then peers over her glasses at the third blonde and asks, "What is Easter?" The third blonde smiles confidently and looks St. Peter in the eyes. "I know what Easter is. Easter is the Christian holiday that coincides with the Jewish celebration of Passover. Jesus and his disciples were eating at the Last Supper. Then the Romans took him to be crucified, and he was stabbed in the side, made to wear a crown of thorns, and was hung on a cross with nails through his hands. He was buried in a nearby cave, which was sealed off by a large boulder. St. Peter smiles broadly with delight. The third blonde continues, "Then every year the boulder is moved aside so that Jesus can come out. And if he sees his shadow, there will be 6 more weeks of winter." A new survey found that 81% of parents admit to stealing Easter candy from their children, while the other 19% of parents don't think it counts as stealing if you bought the candy in the first place. Jimmy Fallon. Jesus was hanging from cross, and he called out to Peter, "Peter, I need to see you." Peter tried to get to the cross, but the Roman soldiers fought him back. Jesus again said, "Peter, please come here. I want to tell you something." Again, Peter tries to fight his way through the guards, but once again they stop him. One more time, Jesus says, "Peter, please, I need to tell you something." This time, Peter musters up all of his strength, manages to get past the guards, goes up to the cross and says, "Yes, my Lord, what do you want to tell me?" Jesus replies, "I can see your house from up here." Yeah,